All right, get ready to explore, because today we're diving into ancient America.
Ooh, always a good one.
It never gets old, right? All those clues and theories that make you wonder if history is even what we thought it was.
The mysteries. Love it.
Exactly. And you've brought us this awesome book to dig into, Carl Lehrburger's Secrets of Ancient America, Archaeoastronomy. Pretty wild stuff in here.
It's a doozy.
He really goes for it, saying tons of cultures from across the ocean, Phoenicians, Celts, heck, even people from the Indus Valley made it to the Americas way before Columbus.
See, now what I find so interesting is how Lehrburger uses archaeoastronomy. He's not just saying, oh, look, a Roman coin that washed up. He's talking about like ancient buildings and rock carvings, saying their placement lines up with the stars in a way that screams, these cultures were connected.
Gotta give him credit, people are paying attention. Even Scott Wolter, who's not exactly known for shying away from big theories, was impressed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was really drawn to just how many potential clues Lehrburger found all over North and South America.
Right, but that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Anyone can point at something and say it's a clue, but proving it, that's a whole other story. Because honestly, what Lehrburger's suggesting goes right against everything we thought we knew about early America.
Totally. This isn't some small tweak to the history books. We're talking a full-on rewrite.
Exactly.
And that is what makes this deep dive so exciting. Like, we get to be archaeological detectives. But instead of brushes and shovels, our tools are critical thinking and a big old dose of skepticism.
Absolutely. We're not here to blindly agree or disagree. We're here to try and understand.
So where do we even start with a theory this huge? Lehrburger just jumps right in, connecting those ancient Phoenician sailors to sites right here in the Americas. And not just quick stops either.
And don't forget the Celts. He's found what he believes are Celtic writings and alignments with the stars in places that would totally change how we see early America. He even calls New England New Ireland? Like, imagine that.
New Ireland got a nice ring to it, I'll give him that. But if we're going to even consider rewriting history, we got to understand what the current story is.
It's been the same story for ages, right? Early America, totally cut off, doing its own thing, then bam, Columbus shows up. And it's like the world flips on its head.
Yeah, like it was a blank slate before he got here.
Totally. But Lehrburger, he's like, hold on, not so fast. He says there's more to the story.
And how? He brings up the Indus Valley civilization, one of the oldest ones out there,
Seriously old.
saying they might have had a hand in things over here too. It's kind of mind-blowing, thinking about ancient India being connected to like California or something.
I know, right? But he's got this whole thing about petroglyphs. He compares ones found at Mojave North, that's in California, to some in Tamil Nadu, which is in India.
Makes you wonder if we really know anything about how people moved around back then.
Our maps might as well have big "Here be dragons" written on them.
Totally. And he doesn't just stop at one type of clue. Oh no. He's got archaeoastronomy, which I'm still wrapping my head around. He's looking at the petroglyphs, the inscriptions, like the whole shebang.
He's thorough, gotta give him that.
Speaking of petroglyphs, we were talking about how you can't just take them at face value, right? Like one person's spiral is another person's snake or whatever.
Totally. It's all about context, right? Even Lehrburger admits he's gotten it wrong before. Thought he had something figured out, new info comes along, and whoops, gotta rethink the whole thing.
So even the experts get it wrong sometime.
Happens to the best of us. That's why he says you gotta have more than just one thing pointing in a direction. Can't hang your hat on a single drawing, you know what I mean?
Makes sense. So he's looking for patterns, connections. Like with that Decalogue stone, he says the way one of the petroglyphs is positioned, it's like a mezuzah. Those little cases with Hebrew verses people put on doorposts.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, so is that just a coincidence? Or is that a real clue? Because that seems to feed into his whole thing about Hebrew influence in ancient America.
Definitely seems to be a theme with him. He even talks about a site called Hidden Mountain in New Mexico, thinks it might have been a whole Hebrew fortress laid out according to the stars.
Wow. Okay, now we're getting into some next level stuff.
Right.
Because that idea about the Hebrews being here, that's been debated forever.
And it's a big claim. You gotta have the evidence to back it up.
For sure. So what's he using to make his case?
Well, there's the Back Creek Stone. Ever heard of that one?
Rings a bell, vaguely.
Found over in Tennessee, and some folks think it's got Paleo-Hebrew writing on it. But a lot of archaeologists, they say, nope, that's Cherokee. Shows you how tricky it can be to decipher these things.
It's like everyone's got their own code book.
Right. It's not as easy as just looking it up on Wikipedia, unfortunately. So yeah, the Back Creek Stone is a good example of how one piece of evidence can have a whole bunch of different interpretations swirling around it.
So how do we know what to believe? Is finding one artifact, even if it is legit, enough to throw out everything we thought we knew?
That's the million-dollar question. Everyone wants that smoking gun, that one piece of proof that settles it all. But history, it's not that clean. It's more like, you ever try to put together one of those jigsaw puzzles where half the pieces are missing?
And the picture on the box is all faded.
Exactly. That's what figuring out the past is like. And then you've got Lehrburger tossing archaeoastronomy into the mix. Want to try explaining that one?
Please, because I'm still a bit fuzzy on how it all works.
Okay, so imagine you're way back when, right? No telescopes, no fancy apps telling you what you're looking at in the sky.
Just you and the stars.
Exactly. So people paid attention, right? They noticed how things moved, how the sun and moon affected things. That's archaeoastronomy, figuring out how ancient cultures saw the sky and how it fit into their world.
So it's like their astronomy was tied to everything, their calendars, their myths, all of it.
It was their Netflix. But also, way more important, imagine building something huge, a temple or whatever, lined up perfectly so that on a certain day, the sunrise hits a specific spot. That's not random, that's knowledge, that's planning.
And that's where Lehrburger goes even further. He's saying those alignments weren't just flukes, they were like a global thing.
Yeah, he's suggesting this points to some serious sharing of knowledge, like maybe those ancient Americans weren't so isolated after all.
So we're not just talking about separate cultures figuring out the stars on their own. We're talking about potential contact way back when.
It's like, imagine you're in Colorado, right? Deep inside this cave, it's called Crack Cave.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And on the spring equinox, bam! A beam of light shines through a crack in the ceiling and lights up this specific petroglyph.
No way.
It's like the ancients knew exactly what they were doing, building it just so.
That's wild. Can you imagine being there, seeing that happen? Talk about a connection to the cosmos.
It kind of makes you rethink how we see these places, right? Not just ruins, but like these dynamic structures in tune with the universe.
Totally. And Lehrburger sees that kind of thing everywhere. Like that light serpent cliff we talked about at Mojave North, he says that's tied to the spring equinox too.
Seems like the spring equinox was a pretty big deal back then.
Right. It really makes you wonder what else we've missed. And then, just when you think it can't get any crazier, he throws this out there. Roman Jewish artifacts in the Arizona desert.
Oh yeah, the Kalalis colony. That's a whole other rabbit hole.
He's found inscriptions in Latin, Hebrew, even claims they tell a whole story about this lost colony.
It's a great story, I'll give him that.
Sounds like something straight out of Indiana Jones. But come on, Roman Jewish artifacts in Arizona. Is that for real?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's one thing to find something, it's another to prove where it came from and how old it really is.
Like, could they be fakes?
People have been known to try to pull a fast one. Or maybe they're real, but they don't mean what Lehrburger thinks they mean.
So where does that leave us? It feels like every time we answer a question, 10 more pop up.
Welcome to the world of history. You gotta love it. But in all seriousness, what Lehrburger does really well is make you think.
He's not afraid to go against the grain, that's for sure.
And he backs it up, whether you agree with him or not. There's clearly a passion there, a drive to find answers, even if they challenge everything we thought we knew.
It's like he's saying, don't be so quick to accept the easy answer. There might be a whole other side to the story.
Exactly. And even if he's not right about everything, he's asking the right questions.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that history isn't set in stone.
It's constantly being rewritten, new discoveries, new interpretations.
And sometimes those new interpretations, they can be pretty wild. But hey, that's part of the fun, right?
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's thinking, man, I need to know more about this, what should they do?
Check out Lehrburger's book. Even if you take it with a grain of salt, it'll make you think, maybe even inspire you to do some digging of your own.
Exactly. Secrets of Ancient America, Archaeoastronomy by Carl Lehrburger. Don't be afraid to explore the fringes, because sometimes that's where the most interesting stuff is hidden. And hey, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big historical mystery. Thanks for exploring with us.